Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight's events. My name is Misun Rim. I'm art director of MCBW 2017 Partner Country Korea program. It is a great pleasure to introduce Professor and Dr. Nagun to you. I'm sure that he will share his experience, insight with you and about the smart revolution, which is the main theme of the MCBW 2017. And he has many experience as a juror and professor, not only in Korea. He has been various lecturing and then a project and then many different experience in abroad. Of course, in America and China, also in Europe. So I'm really happy to introduce Professor Nagun to you. So before we started to have his lecture, I would like to introduce some more about his history. And Professor Nagun is studied industrial engineering in Hanyang University and KAIST in Korea. And he has his doctorate degree in engineering design in Tufts University in America. And also he's the author of several design publications, including Design Plants, which is translated and published not only in Korea, in Taiwan and China. So you can find out his books in your own country. And he's now a professor of Industrial Design School for Advanced Studies in Hongik University, and also he's lecturing in various places, including the brand big company Samsung, LG, and other company to the CEO. And his main topic is creative thinking, convergence design, and design management. So he will. I'm not sure he's gonna give our vision or not, but he will share his experience and insight and wisdom, and he's gonna talk about the smart and digital world. What we are gonna what we are heading to. So welcome to the Professor Nagun, and hope you enjoy the whole lecture.
Thank you for the introduction to me. And it was a little over exaggeration. I'm not that that guy that was introduced by Misun Rim. But today I'm going to talk about smart, smarter, and smartest. And this is a brief of myself. As she said, I studied in ergonomics from KAIST and a PhD in engineering design at Tufts University, and a Joro product design and design concept of Red Dot since 2009, and also year 2010 when Seoul was the World Design Capital, Seoul, and I was the Director General for that. And then today, what I'm going to talk about is smart, smarter, and smartest. Usually, before, man was smarter than machine. And then now, we are at the edge of reversing between man and machine. And then what is the problem that we have faced or what we are facing in the near future? There are two quotes for today's talk that I sort of was inspired. One is by Francis Bacon. If a man will begin with certainties, he shall end in doubts. But if he will be content to begin with doubts, then he shall end in certainties. I think that's one of the things that we face in the future, especially in smart technology. The other one, Mark Twain said, history does not repeat, but it does rhyme. It's a little fluctuations, a little changes. I think that's what we see in the future. The overview of the lecture, first, what is definitions and recent trend from MWC 2017 that was in Barcelona 2 weeks ago. And especially my specialty is ergonomics. And it is all about the relation between man and machine in man-machine systems. So this is the backbone of the whole talk of today, and I make some conclusion about it. But anytime if you have a question, you can stop my talk, and then you can ask me questions. Then if you don't speak English, then you can speak Chinese. Then Chinese will be translated back to me, and vice versa. So feel free to sit there, and then any feedback will be welcome. What do you think it is? So how many people think it's a digital camera? Digital camera, okay. And how many people just think it's a camera? Okay. If we say it's a digital camera, then you are digital immigrants. You came from analog country to digital world. So you start from analog to digital. But if we say just camera, then you are digital natives. Without having any experience in analogs, you just jump into the world of digital. So for them, there is no difference between camera and digital camera. But for me, we just call digital camera. But my son just called camera because he never seen any digital cameras. We are just moving from analog to digital, and in some way in digital period, as Peter Hinsen's The New Normal said, we passed the middle point, and then now we are moving into the smart area. And then also in the era of forthcoming the fourth industrial revolution, or industry 4.0, now we are facing this, and this is the biggest trend that we face in the future, not only in education, but also in business and in design. What we can do for the industrial 4.0, that's, I think, big, like a tsunami that we will face soon. So how we prepare, how we understand the industry 4.0 is going to be very important issues. There are three main drivers of the industry 4.0. From a physical side, from digital side, and from a biological side, there are three main drivers for industry 4.0 happens. And from the physical, autonomous vehicles, 3D printing, and robots and new materials. From digital, it is all about Internet of Things, and biological, synthetic biology. Those are the main drivers of Industry 4.0. The first, autonomous vehicles. It's not only cars, but also ships and drones and airplanes, and everything is becoming autonomous. Even several years ago, when we talk about how we change the car design in autonomous driving with Hyundai and Kia, a lot of people had a doubt. Maybe not within 20 years, maybe not within 10 years, but it is coming much faster than we expected. So in Korea, actually, we handle this issue more seriously. Even for me, when I ride on some autonomous vehicles, some test vehicles in Hyundai, I didn't feel comfortable because how can I trust 100% for the vehicles? But first time, it was very uncomfortable, but second time, I feel better, and third time, I feel very comfortable. So I think these autonomous vehicles comes much faster than we expected. So that's another one of the drivers for the Industry 4.0. The second one is 3D printing. And yesterday, I went to an exhibition of Smart Revolution. There was some exactly the same some dress made with. The feel is so good, and it can actually make all kinds of dress. It's up to your imagination. And it's moving from 3D printing to 4D printing, which means that it has some capacity of self-altering depending on the temperature and humidity. So it snugs it to your body, so it feels really comfortable. So this is one of the drivers that will change in Industry 4.0. The third one is, as you know, robotics. Before, robots is only found in the industries, but it's going to come everyday life. These days in Korea, from a lot of TV programs, they talk about these robots, and they do some documentaries from all over the world, how robots will become our everyday partners. So we need a collaboration between man and machine, especially the robots. The next one is the new material. The material becomes lighter and stronger, and recyclable, and adaptive. For example, this material is called graphene. I don't know this chemical formula, but it is 200 times stronger than steel and 1 million times thinner than human hair. And it also very efficient conduct of heat and electricity. And with this size, it can hold up the whole elephant. So what if those materials will be available for our everyday lives? Then it's going to be a huge change in our whole life. And MWC, Mobile World Congress 2017, there was like 2 weeks ago in Barcelona. There are some reports about the trend of the Mobile World Congress. It's called MARS, M-A-R-S, was the trend of the Mobile World Congress 2017. The first M is mixed reality. Not only augmented reality and virtual reality. It's a mixture, because in virtual reality, you have a feeling of the full immersion, but it's very expensive to make the systems. And augmented reality, it is not as immersed as the virtual reality, but it's more real, more possible. So the mixed reality, the good point of virtual reality of immersion feeling, and good point of augmented reality of the realities, we mix together, and we call mixed reality is another big thing is coming. As you see in the virtual environment and real environment, somewhere in between, we are creating the mixed reality. The next thing is A is artificial intelligence. It's called AI. And last year, it was a big match between the Korean Go Master and AlphaGo. And even during the days, we stopped working, watching TV. Even in the class, we talk about. And we do a lot of betting. Who's going to win and what's the score? And luckily, I got the right score, right winners. But the order was not correct. I thought Sedol E lost. At the very end, I thought he's going to win. But that was a little different. He just won after 3 loss. So after that, everybody was shocked. And how the artificial intelligence can beat AlphaGo. But we come to think of it, the number of plays he can play. cannot compete against the machine, computer. So right now, the AlphaGo improves much better, much faster. So soon, how to use the AI in the real world and in smart technology, that's the big thing. And third R is robot. So this is the movie that I watched a number of years ago, I, Robot. It assumed that in year 2035, robots with a fully AI will be our everyday life. Then it's becoming a reality. And the last S means speed. We're talking about 3G, 4G, and 5G. Now we are talking about 5G. It's like a turtle versus a rabbit. And in speed, not only the speed of transmission, but also the speed of response is very important. For example, in 4G, the transmission speed is 100 megabytes per second, but 5G, 20 times more, 20 gigabytes per second. Response time, usually 10 to 50 milliseconds, but here, just 1/10, 10 times faster, 1 to 5 milliseconds. So we can download 25 gigabyte 4K UHD movie in 10 seconds. So it's really, really fast. And also, it can cover 1 million Internet of Things devices in 1 square kilometers. So these days, the Korean companies they are developing many home appliances with the sensors in it, so we can control through the apps. So with this speed, we can control 1 million devices with IoT. The 5G versus 4G. For example, the autonomous driving is really important for this. Let's assume that on autonomous driving, car driving at 100 kilometers per hour, and response time on the 4G is 10 milliseconds, and 5G is 1 millisecond. Under the 4G speed, 20 milliseconds of response time of 100 kilometers per hour speed. The car moves 54 centimeters. But under 5G, it's only 5.4 centimeters. So in case of the unexpected accidents and the response time is so fast, then it gives drivers and passengers more comfortable about prevention of all accidents. So the speed of 5G is really critical for remote control of the autonomous vehicles. It's going to be a very critical factor, how fast we can transmit the data and how fast we can get the response back from the autonomous vehicles and all devices. And then this is our future. How is it going to be our future? So we are just walking on the rope with some uncertainties. Abraham Lincoln said that the best way to predict the future is to create it. If I can create the future, sounds great. Yeah? But how many people actually can create the future? Even though I can create my own future, but what if nobody follows me? It's nothing. It's worthless. But Lincoln said that the best way to predict the future is to create it, because it is hard to predict what's going to happen in the future. And also, William Gibson said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. So from this MCBW exhibition, I see some future today, yesterday, maybe tomorrow. But it's not evenly distributed. Some people understand, some people feel the future today, but maybe some people cannot understand the future until next year, maybe in 5 years, in 10 years. And he is John Naisbitt, my favorite futurist, and he wrote Mindset, and I think this is really important book for reading the future. In this book, he talked about 11 mindsets, 11 perspectives for handling future. And the most important mindset for me from his book is that what he says is why many things change, most things remain the same. So what he suggests us is we have to distinguish between what and how. What is something that never changes, is the essence. But how is something that changes depending on the environment, depending on the technologies and everything. So a lot of people tend to focus on how, because how is more interesting, how is more fun. But in order to predict the future, we have to think about what it is, something that never changes. What is the essence is really important. So even we are facing in the future, I would like to say, back to the basic, not back to the future. I think the first thing that I'd like to assert is the definition. In the school, I'm the first design professor coming from engineering background. And when I came back to Korea after living 11 years in Boston, when I talked to my students, they never understand me because I taught design research and I taught trend research, and I gave a lot of material for them to read and everything. I thought I did a really good job, but the students never understand what I taught. So I thought that, design students are so stupid compared to engineering students. So I thought that all faults is at students, not me. And then all of a sudden, one student came and he asked me, "Hey Ken, I'm sorry, but I never understand what you said. Are you sure you know everything you talked to us?" And at the very first moment, I refused. Come on, I'm a PhD. I know everything. On the day at home, when I slept on my bed, I thought about many things. I asked myself, "Hey Ken, do you really know what you are talking about? What you prepare all the lectures?" And I couldn't say yes. So the following morning at 5 o'clock, I went to my office and spreading all books and notes on the table, and I read over and over. I really didn't seem to understand what I have on my desk. So what is the problem that I have, and where do I start to fix my problem? And this is the word that just pops to my mind. The first word, okay, what is definition? Okay, I taught design research, and what is the definition of design research? Then what is the definition of design? What is the definition of research? And then all of a sudden, I just ask myself, hey, do you know what is the definition of definition? So I spent a lot of time to find the definition of definition. So here, anyone who can guess the definition of definition? In this lecture, there is no right or wrong answer. It's only different answers. So what do you think? The definition of definition? Usually in Korea, in the class, I ask my students, I encourage students to question me, then usually I pay back $10.
For any answer or for just the right answer?
Say again?
Paying $10 for any answer or right answer?
Any answer, because in Korea, in Korea, the students are not used to ask questions to professors. It's very one-way communication with students. So I'm trying to reverse it because my generation, all the knowledge was in the book, in the notebook that I took from the States when I studied PhD. But these days, all information is at students' fingertips on the internet. So I have to change my teaching method. And then one of the first things that I tried is have them raise questions and express their ideas and thoughts, even though there is not much difference between right or wrong. And there's still, students are really shy to express their ideas before a lot of people, and especially to professors.
I would say a definition is an explanation of something by naming specific characteristics or parameters.
Very good answer. Yeah, very good answer. But slightly different. But usually, when you say the definition, it's gotta be very short, 1 or 2 words, so that the kids of 7 or 8 years old can understand right away.
The meaning of the word.
Meaning of words. Yeah, very close, very close. I mean, your answer is right, but to me, the definition of definition is kind of a consensus, agreement. In Korea, we say promise. This is what we have to say. And I think the problem of design in Korea comes from the definition. And the problem with the current development of the smart technology is communication. The origin of the word communication came from sharing. So unless we share something with the others, there is no way of communication. And also, we need a dialogue between man and machines with the smart technologies. Donald Norman, from his book called The Design of Future Things, he said that the problem is dialogue versus 2 monologues. Between man and machine, we need a dialogue. But current technology development is we have 2 different monologues. The man says something to the machine, and machine responds the other way, so nobody understands. Just like me and my wife, we need a dialogue, but we have monologues. So every time she asks me, hey, honey, we need a dialogue, not monologues. But it's very difficult to fix it. So for example, she did some gestures with these flowers, and everybody has different ideas. That's the current problem of the smart technology. And in Korea, we say, same bed, different dreams. Even we are in the same bed, but have different dreams. I think that's the current problem of the smart technology. The silver bullet, I think that's communication or interaction, what I call interface. So again, interface as a communication and interaction channel. I think that's the most important issues. And how many of you know Jeff Raskin? Jeff Raskin. He is the guy who developed a graphical user interface of the Macintosh. So last year there was a movie, Steve Jobs. In the movie, only once his name was mentioned. It's Jeff Raskin. He's a big guy. And do you know why Steve Jobs made company name Apple? Because he liked Apple. And why the computer is Macintosh? Because Macintosh is a a kind of apples in the States that Jeff Raskin like. Jeff Raskin's favorite apple is Macintosh, so that's how we name it. The definition by Jeff Raskin is the way a user accomplishes a task with a product. So that's really difficult to understand. And then in the following sentence, what he said, what the user does to the product and how the product responds. Still hard to understand what it is. So I use these days. I don't need any textbook because my textbook is in the online dictionary. Everything I check online dictionary. It's a Merriam-Webster online free dictionary. Here, the interface is that the first, a surface forming a common boundary of two bodies, spaces, and phases. For example, an oil-water interface. If we put some oil on top of water, then you see some common boundaries. It's called an interface. The important thing is the second definition. There are two meanings. One is the place at which independent and often unrelated systems meet and act on. That is, communicate with each other. So, for example, this remote control, based on the first A definition, this position is the place that I communicate with this. When I try to turn next page on, then this is the interface based on this definition of A. And second definition is the means. It's the same as Jeff Raskin said in previous pages, by which interaction or communication is achieved at an interface A. So here, I press this press. When I change the batteries, then I have to take it out. That's how I communicate with this pointer. So this is the definition that I found from the free dictionary, the best definition. This is a nightclub in downtown Seoul. The name is Interface. So when I first found this nightclub, I was amazed. How the nightclub has such a nice name. Yeah? Based on the two definitions, it happens everything in this place. And the more interesting is that their website is www.interface5.co.kr, which means that this is a number 5 nightclubs in Korea. This is an amazing place. If you check Interface in Seoul, then you see a lot of good reviews and comments. And in order to understand interface, we have to understand man-machine interface. In order to understand man-machine interface, we have to understand man-machine systems. There are 3 or maybe 4 types of man-machine systems. It's called manual system, and semi-automatic system, and automatic system, and I added one more, the smart system with AI. In manual system, man is the source of power and control. The machine, just operation, like when you do mapping, you are the power source and you control everything, then the machine just follows what you do. Semi-automatic, man just control. And the machine is a power source and operation like this. And automatic, everything by machine, man just monitoring. It's like the robot cleaners. And in the forthcoming smart system with AI, then what can be the role of the man? And what's the role of machine, and how we divide. So that's the big things from the education side and the scholars for how we handle this. Back in the 60s and 70s, it was very easy to distinguish the role between man and machine, but it's getting blurred, getting fuzzy. It's hard to make a clear separation between man and machine. This is a typical example of a man-machine system. So a teacher with an eraser and board and marker and a board, man-machine systems. So what do you think is a system is? What's the definition of a system? It's very difficult technical terms, but usually a system is defined by three things. One is there should be some components, and there is some relation among components. And the lastly, there should be common purpose with the components. This, man, and all these are the components. They have some relation, sometimes good relation, sometimes bad relation. Bad means uncomfortable, not convenient. Good relation is very comfortable and it's very easy to use. So this is one of the man-machine system. Even this one has more people and more machines in it. And this one is another example of man-machine system. This is another example of man-machine system. And by definition, the meaning of machine evolves. It was literally machines. 2 days ago, I went to a Deutsches Museum, and I found amazing machines, the machines. And then in 90s, the machine is named as computers. And then everyday things, and mobile phones, and smartphones, automobiles, and robots, and I don't know what's going to be next. So how the meaning of machine evolves. And also the complexity between interfaces, even the same word interface, the mechanical engineers, when they say we have an interface problem, means machine to machine interface problem. We are dealing with man-machine interface. Some political systems, they deal with man-man interface, which is more complicated. It causes a lot of problems. But the problem is that this is the simplest. This is the next. This is the most complicated. And then the problem that we have is that this machine is becoming like a man-like machine. So that's why we say interface is the future, a future business, future area of design. And then when we put a man-machine interface, then machine becomes computer, then we say HCI, human-computer interface interaction. And man-machine altogether was replaced by user and user interface. Then somewhere in between the late 90s, the word experience came in, whole business, and then all of a sudden UX, user experience, is still there, but nobody knows exactly what user experience is. And just the interface now is developed two different ways. One is HMI, human motor interface. The other is human robot interface. So these two are becoming big things in interface area. Usually, man controls machines and machine responds the human control. And the activities that we do is called control, and the way they show the feedback is called displays. But the thing is, in control and sensing is really important because a man is the one who do some controls with some purpose on it. So the machine must feedback properly. But whatever he gives feedback, unless human sense it, we cannot say it has a feedback. So it's got to be big enough so that human can be sensed. And before, controlling is happened only by contact. So we call hand and foot called effector. So these are the only things that we actually control something with hand and foot. But now it becomes non-contact. That's the big trend. So the voice and gestures and everything, even just the thinking. So control becomes from non-contact, from contact to non-contact, really makes interface very complicated. It's hard to understand because it has some cultural issues, and it's very difficult. Even back in 1990, the first project that I did in the state was the voice recognition system. And then at the time, we have to train the software. I have to read all different kinds of sentence 10 times. Then he start understand my voice, my intonation, but still a lot of error mistakes. And then all of a sudden, I got mad and then just threw it away. So just controlling, sending my signal to the machine with voice is really difficult. Now, the companies are spending a lot of resources on understanding this one. So from contact to non-contact. The problem is that even in the era of non-contact controlling, the contact is also very important. So it gets more complicated. Interface by sensing. This part. There are only 5 because we have 5 senses. Touch interface and visual interface by seeing, and sound interface by listening, and then the next thing is smell and taste. So that's how the interface develops. So right now in Korea, Hyundai Automobile, they have sound interface team. So a group of composers and musicians and acoustic engineers working on developing new sound. Because in electric car, it was so quiet, so we need to create new sound. So they are working very hard on this. And the smell and taste is the next thing. And we need a totally new relationship with machines, which is smarter than us. Even on the opening ceremony, when I saw this robot in Germany, in official ceremony, I was very impressed by the way they introduced the robots in opening ceremony. Before, we control the machines, but now we need a collaboration. That's a big change. It's a new mindset. But in order to collaborate, we need understanding. And I think this is one of the words that I still don't understand. In order to understand, you gotta be humble. You gotta be understand, not overstand. And then listen first. You have to listen first. And empathy, not sympathy. This is one of the words that I really made a mistake when I taught to my students. This is the words that commonly appeared in design textbooks. And one day, one of my students asked me, "Hey Ken, what's the difference between empathy and sympathy?" And I told him that spelling. Spelling is the difference. I thought it's the same meaning. But one day when I read a book, it was a huge difference, huge difference. The sympathy, empathy. Sympathy, it can be said like this: I feel bad, parenthesis, him. Same empathy, I feel bad, parenthesis, him. Sympathy is I feel bad for him, for. But empathy is I feel bad with him. So that's a big difference. For, with, is a big difference. So at least we have the empathy to our partners, new partners. So empathy, listen first, be humble are the three most important things for good understanding. You can take photo. And in order to collaborate, we have the common vision. He's a blind, he's a lame. So that's a good collaboration. So he can lead the way, and then he can pull him. So the common vision that we can have together is good experience. Still, the word that I don't understand is experience. I saw many things that I don't understand, definition and experience. So I don't know what am I doing as a professor. Definition of experience is a very difficult one. I don't understand what it is. A little easy one to do or see or have happen to you, to feel or be affected by something. The easiest is act of trying. Doing something is experience. That's the, I think, easiest definition of experience. The problem is, as a result of experience, the formation of feeling and emotion happens. There are two types of emotions. One is positive and the other one is negative. Negative emotion is a feeling of delight, feeling of pleasure, and feeling of happiness. And negative emotion is fear and shock. And also, depending on the culture, same experience with different emotions can be happen. And this Claude Raphael is really a good book about the cultural difference. And recently, Erik Meyer, he wrote this culture map. It's really good for understanding different cultures. Yesterday, I went to the Smart Revolution exhibition. We saw this, how smart are you? And this is the age. And the first question was, do you shop only in the shop? And this is yes, in part, no. And if we say yes, 0 point. If we say no, 10 point. If we say in part, 5 points. So we answer, and depending on the end up, we add up. They say this is analog, this is digital, this is smart, this is stupid, this is the balanced. And then see, this is the typical sampling of the Germans. They are in between, like, very balanced. Yesterday, I did with 2 other Korean designers, and we are on this stupid side with the highest score. So it was very interesting yesterday. And what happens if we have the negative emotion? This is the report on Time magazine in 2005, right after the 9/11. They did a survey with all survivors and where they were and how they escaped from the place that they were. one interesting thing is that not only several people, but also more than 1,000 people answer the same thing. Before they walk down to the stairs, what they do is they spend time in shutting down the computer that they use. Can you believe? They have to just walk away, but instead what they do is just close up and pull out the plugs and put everything. Because it was too much extreme negative emotion. It was shock, so they couldn't think anything but the way they do routinely. So most of people, when they walk out, they have to the close up. So that's the response. Not only several people, more than 1,000 people answered like this. On the same magazine, there is some report about it was killed 100 people in a nightclub in Rhode Island. Do you know where the 100 people died in the nightclub? Can you guess? Trying to get out, yes. But where? Which side? In the States, when they were in the dancing in the nightclub, they were extremely positive emotion. All of a sudden, fire broke up. In a second, all of a sudden, extreme negative emotion. They couldn't think anything. Even not awareing there should be better exits. They only think about the door they came in through. So a lot of people just walk through the same door that they walk in. So people fell down, then it ended up with 100 casualties. So that's how people actually responded in negative emotions. When I say this, one Swedish designer came to my office and he said, "Hey Ken, that reminded me of something happened in Sweden. In Sweden also there is a fire in the nightclub and we had 70 people died. Can you guess where 70 people died in the nightclub in Sweden?" I spent 10 minutes to answer. I just imagined all the components of the nightclubs, and I answered, all wrong. So I gave up. What do you think? In Sweden nightclub, where the 70 people died? Can you guess? Helping each other. That's a very creative answer. Yeah, I like it. The point that they died was at the cloak room. Before they get in, they have to take their jackets. So when they have to escape, they have to get the jacket back. So in the States, instead of the doors that they came in through, here in the cloak room, there are a lot of people get together and they get crowded and fell down. So the 70 people were killed, died in front of the cloak. So that's how people in extreme negative emotions. And when experience first introduced in business, 1999, the Joseph Pine and James Gilmore, he wrote Experience Economy. It's a really good book. And Bernd Schmidt, he wrote this book, Experiential Marketing. In the States, maybe same in Germany, when they design a book, usually in the States, they have 500 different design ideas of the book cover. And then they select one out of 500. Because first people look at the title and then see the image. Then if seems to be interesting, they go and pull out the book and read and then buy. So unless this image is not very well matched to the contents inside, then people just ignore the book and pass by, then nobody want it. And at the time, the Born-Schmidt thought that experience is something like skydiving, something thrilling, something that can have the death or life or once in a lifetime activities. But experience is not that simple. Experience is really tricky because there are some features we have called perpetual novelty, which means that we don't have exactly the same two experiences. The first skydiving is something, the second skydiving is something different. So all the time we look for new experience. So people get easily bored and other things. This is a dine in the sky. This is the thing that I'd like to experience in European countries. It's not come yet in Asia. Like 50 meters high, they have a dinner. It's amazing, right? See, all the buckled up and everything. How about this? But this is only one thrilling moment. But next time then, we easily get bored. We are trying to look for something more exciting and something different. So after 4 years of practice, Born-Schmidt wrote another book titled Customer Experience Management. It's the cover. EXP. So experience is like X, something vague, something not clear, is something hardly defined. So this is the current status of experience. I have 4 PhD students that I advised. Now they are professors. Still, I don't understand what experience is. One thing for sure is that good experience makes people happy. Yeah? Because the ultimate goal of experience is happiness. So we pursue, we try something because we want you to be happy. We want you to feel good. And first step toward a good experience can be done through design. And Donald Norman, he wrote this book, Emotional Design. Here is said that visceral design, behavioral design, and reflective design. This visceral design means look and feel. Oh, that's interesting. When I touch it, oh, feels great. Yeah. Those are the issues. And then later, once they start to use it, they can understand the usability. Then later, it looks good and feels great and easy to use, then this is a really good experience, then I will recommend this to my friends. So design plays a really important role for this level. And when there are not many the products on the markets, some people purchase the product by visceral design, some people just purchase by usability. But these days, there are too many products on the market. So unless you pass this level, there is no chance that you claim that, oh, my product is so convenient to use it. You should try. But no chance at all, unless you have this visceral design. So Zig Ziglar is a very famous talker. He said that you don't build a business, you build people, and then people build a business. And recently I read one book. It's called Wonder. I Wonder, like a curiosity. It's by a Korean venture capitalist in Silicon Valley. And he doesn't know anything about design and experience, nothing. But as a businessman, as the investor looking for some products and services, what he said is that everything is about customer experience. So the building people by providing good customer experience is the bottom line of this book. And do you know your customers? We are all different, and that's why we are so beautiful, right? This is how different perspectives. Yeah? How you read is seen by. Yes. So developers are the ones in the laboratory doing something really important, trying to find new inventions. Developers think designers just like a baby. They don't know anything, but they're sucking their hands and painting stuff. And developers think that managers doing nothing, lazy on the desk. And designers, seen by designers, the developers are fat, doing nothing but doing programmings. And designers, seen by designers, autumn stars on the runway, and project managers, seen by designers, they are destroying all my work. And the developers by project managers, they are just assembly line factory workers. And designers by project managers, they are workers. And project managers by project managers, they are the global leaders. So everybody has different the perspective on different roles. What is this? What do you see? What is this?
It's just an X because the company is in trouble.
FedEx?
This
FedEx?
is the worst delivery ever.
Ever.
Decided not to be the customer. They are my exes.
So I'm not talking about the quality of service. I'm just asking, what do you see on the screen? It's a FedEx, right? Yeah. FedEx, right? Yeah. Why do you see as FedEx? Why do you perceive as a FedEx? Because usually what we think something in the middle with some colors, we think that's figure. And the other white and outside stuff we call background. So as the background of the white and the FedEx letter comes in front, so that's how we perceive as a FedEx. Okay, let's reverse it. Let's reverse it. The white is the figure and FedEx is the background. What do you see? What do you see? This arrow. This is a typical example from a textbook. So first I ask my students, what if we see the black as the figure? I expect you to answer right arrows. But to my surprise, the first answer that I got from my students was spoon. That I never expected, the spoon. So in these days, in Korean design students never answer the question to the professor that they expected. Then good thing is that I don't have to know everything. If he says, then I can give him to explain what it is and why. But once I listen spoon, then I can easily find where the spoon is, because it's called top-down search. With a specific purpose, when you search, then it's very easy to find it. The spoon is here. So I talk him back. Hey, did you work late yesterday? And before you go to bed, you feel so hungry, so you took yogurt, and you cannot find the spoon, so you just tear off and then just drink it, and then that's the case. So he was looking for the spoon the night before, and then in the first morning when I asked him to find something, then he thought about spoon. He thought. The next student say that egg. now we change the topic to something to eat, and then you say it's egg and bread. So okay, that's it. Yeah. So even the same thing, we have different perspectives and different things that we are looking for. And how many cubes do you find? How many cubes? 6? 7? 13? Anyone more than 20? If you look this face as the top of this cube, then you see 6 of them. But if you see this as the bottom of this cube, then you see 7. And if you can see both, then you see 13. Or if you miss something, then 11. If you see something illusion, then 15 or 16. That's the general response from the audience. Once I show this, then in the CEO class in Korea, one person said that I see 28 cubes. I was surprised. Yeah. Hey, how could you see this 28? What do you do for a living? It's a very impolite question in the class. They say that he works for the construction company in Korea, the big company. He is in charge of the, how do I say, the logistics stuff. So what he sees is that in order to have this kind of shape, he has to have the cubes behind it. Then if you count all, then total 28 cubes we need. In previous days, especially when we try to do something faster, then we only need some people that have the same perspectives. But these days, in the era of the smarts, Industry 4.0, we need something different perspectives. So I need somebody who has different perspective than I do. This is the last kind of challenge to everybody. In the next slide, in the box, there are some English sentence. I'll give you 5 seconds. You read quickly and then count how many F's, letter F's. Let's see, 1, 2. Everybody should raise their hands, right? 11, 13, 16. Okay. 자, are you ready? Ready? Okay. Wide open. I give you 6 seconds rather than 5. You know? So how many F's did you find? 0. Okay, nobody. 1 F. Okay, 2 F. 2 F. There is no right or wrong answers, so be brave. Yeah, 2 F's. Only 1. 3 F's. Okay, 7 or 8, and 4, yeah, a lot. So when you raise the hands with others, then you feel very comfortable, right? And 5, okay, 1 person. 6, nobody. 7, 1. 8, 1. 9. So in the same place, same talk, from 2 to 9 F's. This time I'll give you 1 more second. You can correctly read fine. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, I gave too much. More than 10 seconds. Okay, do it over. 0 F. 0. 1 F. 2 F's. Still. 3 F's. Okay. 4. Okay. 5. Okay. You change your mind, right? 6. 7. Okay, let's try again. Let's try again. It's long enough to see, right? Okay. 2. 3. 3. Okay, raise high. 3. Okay, 4. Okay, 5. 6. 7. This is a very creative group of people. Eh? There are 6 Fs, right? 6 Fs. There are 6 Fs. This is my favorite slide that I show many times to the CEOs in Korea. And one of the most shocking, surprising response from the audience was that this and this is different slide. It's the same. It's the same. They say that I couldn't be wrong, so you must be show some different slides, but it's the same. I think most of people find these apps easily, yeah? Because it looks like F, it sounds like F. Finished, file, scientific. But a lot of people didn't see F in OV, right? Because I ask you to read fast. Then I already conditioned you, and I give you a little 0.5 seconds of hesitation, so that make you more negative emotion. You have to be more focused. You start to read fast. OV. Through your eyes is F. But when you pronounce OV, in the brain, when we process the information, there is some conflict between visual information and sound information. Then sound information simply dominates. So once you got conditioned of this, then it's very difficult to find OV. This is one example from the Human Factors textbook that I check. I spent 10 minutes to find F. I found only 3 Fs. So I thought that, oh, these guys make a critical mistake. So in the back, in the answer sheet, I crossed out 6. I wrote over 3. But I don't feel comfortable, so I asked my son to find this. And he said, Dad, 6. Really? Where? I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe my eyes. But that's how we see the same information differently. So what I'd like to ask you is that because we have to do some smooth communication, we have to listen first, especially from different voice, different perspective. I think that's one of the best way that we have to do in the smart technology. So understanding is deeper than knowledge. There are many people who know you, but very few understand you. Frank Zappa, he said that our mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work unless it's open. So you have to open your mind, then it starts to work. And the last, Einstein's the success equation. If success is equal to A, then A equal X plus Y plus Z. And X means play, Y means work, Z, keeping your mouth shut. At first, I interpret like this, okay, you did a good job. So now you need some time to play. After play, you have to work, and when you work, you have to keep your mouth shut, keep on working. That was my first interpretation. But when I found some articles about creativity and innovation, this is very famous articles. The definition of play by Einstein is new experience. If I'm Korean, then all the people that I meet who are not Koreans might play. Munich, this is my third visit, but still there are too many things that I can have new experience. So the play is really something that you need new experience, something new, something different than you have done so far. And then you work, then you have a different perspective on your work. And the important thing is that when you keep your mouth shut, two components start mixed together to create something new. So in a sense, the Einstein's success equation is called a creativity equation. So in order to be creative, you have to play first. You have to enjoy your new experience, something different that you have done before. I think that's all about today's talk. And if you have any question, then I'll try to answer. If I cannot answer, then I can introduce some of the books that might be helpful for you. So, yep.
Do you think robots should be text?
Robots will be
Do you think robots should be text?
text.
Yeah, there's a discussion right now
What does that mean, text?
that they pay tax.
Ah, text. There are a lot of the assumption about the robots. Robots will rule humankind, but to me, no to me, because we use the robots for the human use, and by using the human use, then if we have some kind of extra values, then we pay tax through the added values that we create by using the robots. So my idea is that the robot shouldn't be taxed. But if you have to use it wisely and smartly, then you can create more values, then you can pay more tax. Yeah. But that's a good question. Any other questions from Chinese? Yep.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. We did some really interesting workshops last couple of days, and there was all about singularity, which we, obviously took very critically.
Mm-hmm.
Can you say your personal opinion to that? To all the theories around, humans and machines would probably reach some point in singularity. I think you have to explain probably what singularity really means for you and how you take it.
And I think the singularity point, it really depends on what dimension of the human capabilities. Simple calculation and doing the same thing. Definitely the machines and AI will surpass soon. It was a discussion that we did in 60s, how we divide the roles between man and machine. And then in this future, for some perspectives, machine will definitely surpass the human capacities. But still, a lot of futurists say that there are some unique human capabilities that machines and AIs cannot replace. And one of the things is the, how do I say about creativity, and then the thing is that why we have some problem in smart technology, because of my mobile phones. Usually I remember all the phone numbers and everything, but these days I don't have to remember. I don't know my wife's phone number. I just go through and find my wife and then just push the button. Before, my wife's mobile phone number was stored as a number 1. I just press long 1, then it goes automatically. So in some part, because of smart technology, we are losing our original capabilities. But I think we have to use some capabilities that we didn't use up. So for example, instead of memorizing everything, then we can be more focused on other things. So unless we have a shift of the using our capabilities in a new direction, then smart technology really make us stupid. Then the singularity point comes maybe much earlier, or I don't know, maybe past. So it really depends on how we shift our human capabilities in a new direction. Yep.
I think it's better. I think it's a very interesting point you just mentioned, like shifting our awareness to the free space that AI could give us. But the new challenge is not yet here. So I think for some people like you who are very deep into the future technology, it's very easy to shift the focus. But how about like ordinary people? There is no challenge for them. So how do we deal with that?
I think that's the problems that we have in school education, especially design students. For example, here in Everett Rogers back in 60s, he divided the people in three segments: the top innovator, early adopter, and early majority, late majority, and laggard. And most people that I deal with in design, in the field of design, they are all innovators and early adopters. So they are very good at new technologies. They are very adaptable to new technologies. But still, most of the people are in the majority, even in the laggard. So how we design or develop product which is easy to use. So at the beginning, the main focus should be performance. But in order to be attractive to most of the people, then it's got to be easy to use. It's got to be more friendly. So that's the big issues. How we actually handle the smart technology for everybody. And then universal design is one thing that can give some benefit to everybody. So recently when you see some products and big size of buttons and easy, just one buttons and everything, sometimes just the voice control. So how we make the product or system friendly to the users is we call extreme users. It's not the front side, in the back side. So that's the main target for user research these days. So by understanding the extreme peoples, then it's very easy for us to do something for the other side. So recently, the design companies and design team of big companies in Korea, they do extreme user research. Not in the middle. So that's the big shift. Yeah. Okay, it's almost 12 o'clock. Yep.
Thank you. How do you define smart? Because your whole talk, which was really interesting, thank you for that. But how do you personally define smart?
Frankly speaking, I cannot define smart because at the first version of the slide, there was some definition of smart, but I couldn't find something that really touched me. So so far, I cannot define what is smart. But the buzzword is keep changing. So digital and smart and intelligent, but frankly speaking, I don't have any clear definition of smart. So when I prepare this, that's the question that's still remaining. What is smart? What is smart? Smart or stupid or? Sorry.
And I have a question about the technology and the human experience. You know, the future car have a direction is auto driver, but auto driver is lost humans driver experience. What do you think about that questions?
The future
The auto driver and the
autonomous driver, yeah?
and the human experience driver.
This is really a new experience. This is a really new experience. The first experience really make you uncomfortable, but once you get used to it. But the thing is that you have a full trust to the car, unless how could you let it go by yourself? Yeah? But recently, some cars from BMW and Mercedes-Benz, they have very good systems, but still, how the car can visualize everything is okay to the driver. So that's the big issue for the car design. Because we do some research about the interior of the car. Interior of the car is totally different from what we see these days. So we can put some the bed on it and we do a lot of brainstormings, but the one important thing is that how drivers and passengers, the people inside the car, can be sure everything is okay. I think that's the big challenge for designers. That's a big issue. Yeah, big issue. Yeah. I have to give a full trust, unless I cannot just let it go by itself. Yeah.
My question is.
The last question.
Okay. How do you think the smart revolution will take over in the society in Asia compared to Europe? I have the impression Europe is a little bit behind.
I think I don't know, I cannot say all Asia, but Korea is a very risk-taking society. We tried something new, something different, but in European countries, they are very risk-averse. That was one of the topics that I talked yesterday with some German patent lawyers. It's about it, how the society reacts with the smart technologies. But generally, the Koreans are very risk-taking. So that's why a lot of the Fortune 500 companies, they want to try to do something in Korea as a test bed. So we are the test bed of the new technologies. Even the new medicines developed in Germany, we are the guinea pig to test everything. So because we are a small country and we have to do a lot of things in short time. So, but one of the nature of the Koreans, we like to do something new, something different.
Okay, thank you for Professor Ken to share your insight with us, and I hope you enjoyed his lecture, which I've done. And before we finish, I have one program to announce, because we have another program called Lounge Table 3. The subject matter is smart design again. So we will have two more German product designer will come to join, and we have another Korean designer will have a round table session. It's going to be started from the 2 o'clock in here. Yeah, hope you can join one more time. Yeah, this is today's program. Yeah, thank you for taking your time and they stayed until the finish this time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.